Thanks, everybody, for joining. We're here to talk about Liberation Day, the global implications, particularly for us here in Europe. And I'm really pleased to be joined by two members of our very distinguished senior advisor team. I don't think it's too dramatic to say after last night's presentation by President Trump in the Rose Garden that the United States is serious about rebalancing in the way that Trump sees the world, the global trading system. It's safe to say that markets were shocked by the extent of the measures that have been announced, and now we are all left to digest and consider what might happen next.
There was a large number of reports due on the 1st of April that were virtually exhausting the number of topics in trade policy for the US, but they ended with one single, for the time being, tariff schedule, which is larger than what most people's expectations were. There's the 10% minimum blanket tariff rate on goods imports into the US, but what I think really got people's attention were the numbers in the 20s, 30s, and above for many significant producers and trading partners. A number of the sectors are to be dealt with separately. Now, that's not necessarily a saving grace. We already know that the automotive part, for instance, is going to be levied with a 25% tariff too. So there's a number of other sectors, pharma, lumber, copper, etc. And there's a lot of exposure to US assets. I think the downsides to US exposure become much more obvious. And I think that is really arguing for reducing both US asset exposure overall and exposure to the US dollar. So lower growth, lower earnings growth, higher risk premium. And in the foreign exchange world, also some hedging considerations.
How do people react beyond the immediate shock? How do people assess it? Some people will try and placate and appease and see whether deals can be struck. But I think deals can probably only really be struck by those who are in the 10% band. I fully expect the British to try and get out of the 10% band and into a 0% band. I think various others will do likewise. I think those who are in the 20 plus band, and beyond that, are sober and realistic about the prospect of any negotiation culminating in any sort of success, and expect to be in for a very long haul.
Europe is in an extremely difficult position also because of the Ukraine and the security negotiations, which are ongoing. And so inevitably, the discussion about trade retaliation and the appropriate level of response is going to be caught up in how not to lose the US from NATO. It seems to me you can't separate those things.
How do foreign central banks react? And the most obvious is the ECB, and I think it increases the case for the ECB to cut rates at least in April and maybe beyond, and markets are already attaching a 90% probability to that.
I've been writing about the end of the Pax Americana since 2012, and we're now in the thick of it. I think that market participants and business leaders are going to be looking around for kind of quick answers to where the growth is going to come from and where the new opportunities are going to emerge. But the fact is that this process is going to take a lot longer than we may think, because there aren't a lot of very appealing options. So we may see some temporary coalitions.
It is momentous. It is world changing. It is a change of economic regime in the US, but also globally. There is a real risk of complete global fragmentation of the trading system, though the trading system isn't yet dead. It may well be that the WTO and more elements of the global multilateral system are dead or dying. The question is whether then you get into complete regional decoupling, and more insularity, more sovereigntism, more nationalism. So the nexus we're really talking about is, yes, trade and economy, and are the Americans blowing up the world trading system, but, wider than that, the Bretton Woods system. It's security, are the Americans blowing up NATO? But Europe has a massive job to step up on defence spending and defence capability, and has never been serious about doing so over the last couple of decades. Can it now get serious?